Hello and welcome back to the third. So we've been exploring Grancel Castle, and we got all the way up to the top of the keep. But it's time to come back and check out Star Door number 2 here over at the Grancel Cathedral. So I built this up a little bit at the end of the last video, but in case you missed that, this door does not have a flashback for any particular character, but instead it has a lore and info dump. It has to do with a certain question you might have regarding the end of the second chapter, and that's just what did Kevin do to Weissman when he super mega owned him? Let's find out. Those who have not proven themselves in battle are not worthy of stepping inside. Should you wish to be deemed worthy, struggle through 100 battles, only then shall the door open. I shall grant you a memory fragment and my blessing. Enclosed is a report on the damage dealt to the former Principality of Northumbria by the Salt Pale. Also contained within is research on the Pale itself. Holy City of Arteria, Congregation for the Sacraments. Salt Pale research paper by Ries Argent. I never noticed that was her signature on this. And it doesn't have a year, but it's dated December 31st. I hereby present this report to you, Your Holiness, ever at the side of the goddess. This report contains classified information and may only be read by those with the clearance to do so. Certain sections of the utmost secrecy have also been blacked out. Progression of events after the Pale's appearance. July 1st, 1178, 5:45 a.m. An urgent report came in from Haliask Cathedral in then Principality, now a state of Northumbria and northern Zemuria. It stated that a giant white pillar, so tall it appears to kiss the clouds, had appeared on the outskirts of the city. Bishop Alexei, the one who sent the report, behaved as if extremely unsettled by what was happening. By urgent order of the committee, 2 knights of the Gralsritter, the 8th Dominion, aka the Roaring Lion, and a squire, both of whom were working on another mission in a nearby nation, were dispatched to perform a formal investigation. They hurried to the scene via the 8th Merkaba unit. Please note that the Merkabas had only recently been put into use at this point. They arrived promptly, and at 6:22 a.m., this was what they saw. Enclosed is a photograph of the object now known as the Salt Pale. At this point, however, it was far larger than the term pale would suggest. It was more akin to a massive tower that soared hundreds of arch into the air. The 2 knights provided the following observation regarding the situation on their arrival. We were met with a mighty hailstorm blowing in our direction from Haliask, or so it appeared at first, till we eventually realized the storm contained not ice, but salt. The object's surface is completely covered with salt, making it impossible to tell what may actually look like underneath. The surrounding air has become powdered salt, and it falls to the ground like snow falling on a tundra. The spread of that solidifying process was startlingly rapid, and the affected area spread in the blink of an eye. By the time the Gralsritter arrived, the entire landscape of the capital had turned to salt, and the lives of many who lived there, like the aforementioned Bishop Alexei, had already been lost. Yet the spread did not stop there. A day after the Salt Pale first appeared, a vast coniferous forest zone north of the capital crystallized and collapsed. Bridges also collapsed, rendering all the main highways on the out of the city unusable. Please note that by this point, then ruler Prince Balmond had already fled the country to a nearby nation. 2 days passed since the Pale's appearance. By this point, roughly half of the entire principality had become a sea of salt. Countless refugees had fled to the southern side of the country because the river Grave stood between it and the affected area. Finally, 3 days after the Pale's appearance, the solidification process stopped at dawn. As a result, the knights were able to advance on the capital of Haliask with the hopes of investigating the salt pail. That afternoon, they finally reached it. But what they found looked completely different from how the Pale had before when they first arrived in Northumbria. In the center of the solidified area, they found an object that was a mere 2.5 arge in height. Its surface was no longer blanketed in salt. Rather, it looked as if something had been carved out of it. It is now believed that the Pale's mass decreased as the solidification process progressed. In its smaller state, the Pale had lost its power to turn swaths of the country to salt, but its ability to solidify was still very much intact. Anything that touched it, even for a millisecond, was instantaneously turned into salt. It was of the utmost importance to handle it with care. In order to complete the mission without physical contact, the Gralsritter required the use of the sacred tool Gleipnir, which was delivered to them from the high seat in Arteria. Since then, it has been kept closely sealed away deep within the high seat in Arteria. Still, while the recovery mission was ultimately deemed a success, the damage already caused was equally vast and significant. No damage to the surrounding nations was reported, but it resulted in the destruction of 3 of the 5 administrative districts of the Principality, including its capital. Over a third of the total population, along with travelers from elsewhere, lost their lives. This is to say nothing of the emotional damage caused. Due to its sudden outbreak, the hearts of Northumbria's people were overwhelmed with fear and uncertainty. From a humanitarian and a religious perspective, a swift response from the Septian Church was all but necessary. The decision was made to dispatch personnel to the region right away, and upon arrival, they set about rebuilding the damaged churches and healing of both the physical and mental wounds of the people. Those who were left orphaned in the crisis were taken into gospel facilities, where they would be cared for until adulthood. The northern region of the country, which had been turned entirely to salt, was placed under the church's control. It has been a restricted area ever since. Supplementary notes. After some time, the country's former leader, Prince Balmont, attempted to rebuild the government. But given that he had fled the country during its hour of need, caring only for himself and not for his people, all authority he once had was gone. The following year, the country's people led an armed uprising, and the Principality of Northumbria was no more. Eventually, elections were held, and the country became a democracy, thus bringing about the birth of the autonomous state we know of now. This is also when the former Principality's armed forces were formed as a vigilante corps. Given the extreme poverty of the state, however, the majority of said corps considered gathering foreign currency to be of the utmost importance. This was how the large-scale Jaeger Corps known as the Northern Jaegers was first established. As far as the rest of Zemuria is concerned, this is where the tale of the Salt Pail ends. But a number of very important questions still remain unanswered. Perhaps the most obvious of these is where it came from. Despite the considerable size of the object, that it appeared on the outskirts of a populated city, no information is available regarding the moment it first appeared. The most popular theory is that its appearance was due to something akin to a spatial translocation, but no hard evidence exists to support this or any other theory. Of more importance, however, is its positioning in the teachings of the Septian Church. The Pail is clearly different in nature to artifacts and appears to be a more fundamental manifestation of the goddess powers of creation, committee report. With the limits of our knowledge at present, this is as far as we can get to the truth. There are some who have proposed it may be one of the Septerians, but no evidence has been found in legend or scripture to support this belief. Nevertheless, These questions and many others need answering, and the Congregation for the Sacraments continues to study the salt pail to this day. The most accepted proposal comes from those who believe that the pail should be seen as nothing more than a gift from Adios, and they continue to consider various means for her church to make good use of it. See, there's Kevin's signature at the bottom right. The most realistic of these plans is using it in the manufacture of a sacred tool used for execution. Parts of the pail are cut away using high-pressure water, and then surrounded with a cylinder made from salt crystal, allowing them to be fired directly into the target without requiring the user to make direct contact. Should the bolt successfully make contact with the human target, their whole body would turn to salt, killing them in mere seconds. There are no known means for reversing or stopping the process. This approach does not come without flaws. It seems unwise to be careless with an object we still do not understand the true nature of, for one thing. There are also humanitarian concerns when executing someone in this manner. Still, it does bear mentioning that should there ever be a case where a target needs to be eliminated without fail, this would be the most surefire way to carry it out. It should go without saying that research on it is intended to continue into the future. Appendix regarding the aforementioned sacred tool. Trial use begins of the sacred tool. Top secret work only. Permission granted to use in the execution of Weissman. Use in the execution of Weissman. Fired from bowgun. Results were extremely favorable. No damage was caused to the surrounding area. The target was also successfully erased. Appendix about the target. The target, Georg Weissman, was orphaned by the salt pail when it first appeared. A brief history of him is as follows. In 1180, joins the Septian Church. 1185, joins the Congregation for the Sacraments as an official. In 1190, promoted to bishop. In 1195, declared a heretic and excommunicated from the church. You get petrified for that. Oh, that's too good. So there you have it. All right, we're going to take a moment here. So, we've heard about Northumbria in passing at least once or twice. And yes, Weissman was from Northumbria. He mentions it. He says it truthfully while he was still in disguise as Alba in first chapter. When you're passing over from Zeiss to Grand Cell, and he helps Cecil and Joshua get out of like a conversation with some of the royal guards. The army was like looking for bracers. He says that they're his escorts, and he introduces himself as a scholar from Northumbria. That was the truth. So Northumbria, I've probably mentioned at least a couple of times. It says that it's a state now in northern Zemuria. It's on the other side of Erebonia. So Erebonia is directly to Liberl's north. To the northwestish is Ambria. It's directly on its border. It's not quite as wide as Erebonia is, but it covers a good part of Erebonia's northern border. And I couldn't tell you too much about like how big it is, what its layout looks like. We have not gotten a proper map of Northumbria just yet. We may someday in the future. That's something I could see happening for sure. But yeah, Northumbria up until the Salt Pail incident, after which was what, the 1170s, so it was after the Arbor Revolution, was a principality. I imagine it probably wasn't all that different from Liberl in terms of Liberl being a kingdom. It's probably similar to another location in Zemuria called Remiferia, which is also a principality. Just a small, cold place to the north. And then the Salt Pail happened, and that country got fucked. The Salt Pail ruined Northumbria, as you just read. And from now on, for the foreseeable future, I guarantee you almost any time someone talks about Northumbria in any game, they're going to emphasize how much that place sucks. No one likes it there. Anyone who comes from there, they don't have a good past. And Weissman's no different. Weissman's life was also initially ruined by this thing. Maybe it's part of the reason why he ended up so screwed up. Maybe. I mean, people who are from Northumbria tend to carry a lot of baggage. So, there's a lot to digest in there. For one, Weissman, in second chapter, when he first talks to Estelle as Weissman, the very first time, they have an honest face-to-face when Estelle gets dragged aboard the Glorious and brought to the big central command room. He says that he left the church, and he was telling the truth. It's true. Weissman was a member of the Septian Church, and he got a pretty decent rank. He moved up in the world, and then he left and joined Ouroboros, and we still don't really know why. That's one of those things that's a little questionable. That there's still some mystery surrounding it, but given that what he did to Joshua and implanting the stigma and the relationship that stigmas have with the church, given Kevin's little interference at the end of second chapter where he helped Joshua break his, it's possible that it would seem that Weissman took some knowledge with him that was not meant to be shared with anyone. So, whether it was just the act of leaving the church, because it says he was excommunicated, so he did some things that were just like, not cool, you're out of here. That, and he obviously took some really important knowledge with him to Ouroboros. He got labeled as a heretic. And getting labeled as a heretic means that you're a target for the Gralsritter, for the Dominions. And that was Kevin's mission in second chapter, was to track him down and shoot him with that fucking salt pail and kill him. So, Kevin being the hero of this game as we progress through it, a big part of this game's story is getting to know Kevin and getting to know him honestly. Because Kevin has been a snake, just like Weissman's been. Kevin is very not truthful. He's very disingenuous with regards to all the characters that are coming back to this game. All the people we've met over first chapter and second chapter. And Ries is kind of looking at him in some of these cutscenes when characters like get unsealed in the stones. She's kind of like looking at him like she's thinking that these people don't really know him very well, and that how strange it is that he has like relationships with all of them. Because Kevin's entire mission in second chapter was a big farce. Like, the reason he befriended Estelle and got on the party and all that, it wasn't because he wanted to be anyone's friend. He just wanted an in. He wanted a way to complete his mission. And disguising himself as a goofy wandering priest, or potentially just a fledgling of the Gralsritter, like, Weissman thought he was just maybe a squire. He had no idea that he was the 5th Dominion, up to the point where he got his ass kicked. So, like, that was all to disguise himself, get himself on the party, get himself on the Arcel, also he could accomplish his mission and assassinate the heretic. Mission accomplished. So, the other thing about the salt pail, and there's obviously the question of, what is it? What is it? Because the church is like, well, I don't know. Maybe it's a Septarian. It's a gift from Adios. Shut up, Septian Church. Shut up. What is this thing? Where did it come from? That's a good question. And that's a question that it's going to be a long time before we even potentially get an answer to that. But yeah, that's one of the biggest Zemurian mysteries this series has thrown at our feet thus far. Alright, let's go back to Star Door 3. This will take us to the Royal Keep. So where we need to be. So we got right up to Alicia's room, right? I think we went into the first part of it. We just didn't go outside to the balcony. Let's do that. What? What the? Thank you for coming this far. I entrust this to you. Please, Who or what was that? A ghost? Perhaps not. There was something familiar about it. At the very least, it didn't seem like any ordinary ghost. Oh, just give me one moment here. There we are. Treasure key. Or treasury key. Is that what it said? The key to Grancel Castle's treasury, found on the terrace. So I think, is this going to unlock the sealed door? The one that goes into the first chapter dungeon? The in-game dungeon, I mean. The area underneath the castle? I think so. I think that's the only door that's locked anywhere in the castle. Excuse me. Pardon me. Don't got no time for no ghosts. Doors were unlocked. So I don't know if you recall, but this key, there's supposed to be two. Somehow Richard got his hands on the spare, which I don't know where that came from. But the other one was supposed to be held on Queen Alicia at all times, and she said that the key was passed down from monarch to monarch in Liberl's history. Is this some form of elevator? Yes, it connects the castle and a ruin 50 yards below it, but this doesn't make any sense. You're telling me, what's going on here? I'm not following. Well, when I first came to Liberl, Julia led me through this room and into the area below. But this isn't how this room was. It was way tidier. Indeed, to my knowledge, the room was put in order and then locked, and I was under the impression it was to remain that way. I have seen it this way once before, though. Yeah, so have I. It's exactly how I remember it being when we came here during the coup d'etat. That's what I was thinking of as well. Are you trying to suggest that we may have gone back in time? I find it impossible to believe that may have been the case, but how else could I explain this? Of course, I could be mistaken, and yet... Well, if we're going to follow what that ghost seems to want us to do, then we'll keep it up and hope for more answers along the way. Time to climb on board and see what's waiting for us. Right. Activate the elevator. Turbo mode. Oh my. Back here again. I actually don't remember this being used in this game at all. Man, I have forgotten too much about the third. We're not going to be able to get through here without a lot of preparation beforehand. Might I suggest we return to base for now? I think we should go a little further inside and see what the state the ruin itself is in first. Kinda hard to know what to prepare for if we don't know what fiends we're going to be up against. True enough. Let's advance a little further before returning to the garden then. Actually, I think I might remember what's going to happen when we go ahead a single room. But yeah, back here into the sealed area beneath Grancel Castle. I don't think I ever said it, but if it wasn't obvious at the end of second chapter when we read the data crystals, that the facility that Celeste Diosles had written about in the data crystals that they built near the lakeshore was this. It was the area that eventually becomes Grancel Castle. This can't be right. Impossible. Is something wrong? Something's wrong, alright. Has the entire layout of this area changed? It is, without a doubt. This area should be a corridor that leads to the first three-way junction. How is this even possible? I don't think you're mistaken. Heh, now it all makes sense. You're probably on the right track, Kevin. You noticed too, huh? Well, if you're backing me up, then I'm more than confident now. What is it? Have you discovered something? Maybe, but let's head down on the elevator first. I'm almost sure the answer is going to be waiting for us somewhere ahead. Alright. Let's be sure we're ready for anything. Man, they are really slow on the uptake. Alright, sealed area, bottom level. This just is impossible. How are we going to the lowest floor of the ruin already? Could the space we're in be distorted? Nah, that alone wouldn't explain how the entire layout of the place has changed. Let's just keep up the pace. I've got a feeling there's going to be something, or someone, waiting for us not far ahead. Alright. Let's just be sure we're ready. Let's see here. Are we going to actually get to go inside of the room where we fought Colonel Richard? Ooh, a new monument. Yep, this is the final boss room of first chapter. They're the pillars that went into the ground, signifying the 4 tetrasilic towers. Kevin. Yeah, it's that smell again. The same one that you smelled before the coffin-like devil appeared? Where's it coming from? So you noticed the smell, did you? The dogs of the church have good noses, if nothing else. Who's there? The same figure that we saw aboard the Lusitania. Who are you? I was wondering when you'd finally show your face. You're the lord that knight spoke of, aren't you? Haha, I suppose I am. I do, after all, rule this land of Phantasma. Such a name is only fitting. You may call me the Lord of Phantasma, if you so wish. The Lord of Phantasma? Indeed. That's not a name ever mentioned in your beloved testaments, is it, Ries Argent? So you know who I am, too? Someone's brushed up on their homework. That's enough time spent on trivial greetings. Listen to me, Lord of Phantasma, or whatever your name is. If all we've seen here is your doing, then return Grancel to the way it used to be at once. Should you refuse to comply, I shall cut you down here myself. My, your request is so meaningless, I scarcely know how to respond. There's no harm in devotion, but done in excess, it can only serve to cloud your eyes to the truth. Well, do you understand now, Julia Shores? What? I see. My suspicions were right after all. The Grancel we've been fighting our way through isn't even the real thing, is it? It's just an imitation of it. A replica of the city created here in Phantasma. That can't be. Could that really be true? If we assume it is, everything falls into place. Everything we thought was strange suddenly makes sense. How that giant black gate appeared at the city's entrance, how it ended up completely devoid of people, even how the room with the elevator went back to the way it used to be, and the sealed area structure completely changed. Am I on the right track, Joshua? Precisely. Oh dear, you're a little too capable for your own good. If only you could be more darling and naive, it would make things much more fun for me. Do I look like I care whether you're having fun or not? All I care about is Estelle's safety. Ah, but of course. Still, much like Julia Schwartz's devotion to those she serves, love, too, can serve to keep the truth forever out of reach. Is that not so, Joshua Bright? So all this time, Her Majesty and Princess Claudia were safe. Oh, Dios. Thank you for your unwavering mercy. Oh, your relief strikes me as coming more than a little prematurely. Whoever said that those you care about are safe? It wasn't me. Pardon? No! Does that contain... Think of this as the final reward placed for you to earn on this second plane. Of course, rewards aren't given for free. If you wish to earn it, you will have to overcome a trial first. What is that? We got ourselves another devil. A devil? This is another of the 77 devils mentioned in the Testaments. One of the 2 gatekeepers of Gehenna and leader of a vast army of minions. Rostrum the Savage. Ugh, are you insane? How do you think you can handle something that powerful after bringing it to life? I need not worry, for I have you to defeat it for me. Enjoy. Here we go. So with it, we got Rostrum bugs. A repulsive bug born from Rostrum's flesh has poison in it and a healing liquid. And Rostrum itself, one of the devils that guard Gehenna, slays foes with immense strength. Alright, let's use Kevin's top time art. Buffed up. We got some cool ass arts in this game. Ah, not close enough, huh? Take this then. Actually, let's break with Julia. Feel like she's appropriate to use this S-craft with. It's a whole lot of damage, yo. And he's done. No second form for him. That thing was crazy. I can't believe we were able to defeat it. But now... Wasn't that hard. Haha, that was truly a delightful spectacle. Well, take your reward. You've earned it. Oh! Funny how it ended up in Julia's hands. Thank goodness. Glad we got it for you, Julia. Huh, surprised you make good on your promises. Now, you ready to cut down to the chase? What do you want from us? What the hell is the point of all of this? Poor Kevin Graham. Poor pitiful Kevin. Please try not to let me down any more than you already have. I'm a phantasm, a shadow. Much as a shadow only exists when there is something to cast it, I too only exist because of something within your number. Do you grasp my meaning? What? Kevin? How could I? You're just spouting nonsense. If you think being all cryptic is gonna confuse us and lead us astray, you're very much mistaken, buddy. True enough, spouting cryptic nonsense is simply what I do. That is what you believe, is it? Then it must be true. Screw you. Perhaps I ought to go by a different name after all. How do you think Lord of Nonsense sounds? More fitting, perhaps. I said, screw you! Kevin! What's wrong with you? Nothing. Don't worry. That's literally just a shadow. It is? Oh. So that was a body double, or an empty shell is more appropriate in this case. They must have switched while we were fighting that devil. I commend you for noticing. Still, your role on this plane is over now. Add the wings of white to your number. and journey on deeper into the abyss you stand inside. I shall be awaiting our next encounter. Please, they take their overblown theatrics way too seriously. A Resident Evil doer is going to have to work on their act if they want to sound like anything more than a walking cliché. Anyway, we're done here, and we've got ourselves another sealing stone to open up. So let's mosey on back to the base. I think we all know who's inside at this point. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. End of Chapter 2. Ah, the Lord of Phantasma, this game's main villain. Whoever could be inside this sealing stone? I'm so sorry, Kevin. I failed as your mother. But I'm so tired. I'm so tired. At least this way. At least this way. The two of us can... That dream again? How long is it going to take before it goes away? It had to happen on Rufina's big day, too. I was hoping I'd be able to stop worrying her when I got older, but at this rate... I'm sure she's plenty used to you worrying her already. Oh, it's you, Ries. Don't scare me like that. How long have you been in here? For a while. We're supposed to be cleaning the chapel today, but you weren't getting up, so I came to check on you. You seem to be having a nightmare, though, so I thought I'd wake you. Oh, okay. Sorry, Ries. I was being a pain for you again, wasn't I? No more than usual. You've been a loser since the day I met you. I don't expect that to change anytime soon. Ouch. Kick a guy while he's down, why don't you? Well, whatever. We don't want to be late for breakfast on Rufina's big day. So let's go and get this done. Alright. Rufina? Oh. Good morning, you two. I wasn't expecting to see you here this early. Are you on cleaning duty today? Yes, but... What are you doing up so early? You've got a long journey ahead of you. You need plenty of sleep or you're going to be exhausted before you even get there. I mean, isn't Arteria ages away from here? Well, yes. But I won't be able to offer my prayers to Adios here again for quite some time. So I decided to get up early and pray for all the days I'm going to be missing too. Seriously? That's why? That's very you. Are you really going to be that busy though? I thought you might be able to come home from time to time at least. I wish I could say otherwise, but I probably will. I've only just become a squire, so there'll be plenty of work in store for me. I'll be lucky to find time to sleep, never mind come home. I might be able to squeeze some time into my schedule once I've gotten the hang of the workload, but until then... Okay. And that's why you've got to sleep now while you still can. Come on, you've done enough praying for one day, so go back to bed until breakfast or something. You're so cold to me. What? How? I thought you'd want to make the most of the time you've got left with me, but it's like you did not even want me here. Did I do a bad job at raising you? I never said I didn't want you here. And you might have done a lot for me, but raising me is a stretch. It's okay, he's just embarrassed. He's actually more than happy to talk to you. He's just terrible at showing it. Oh, get over yourself. Is that so now? I should have known. You're such a typical boy, Kevin. They all act indifferent to avoid letting their loved ones know just how much they care. And don't forget, he's at that rebellious age too. How have I managed to survive being twisted around your fingers for so long? Is trying to toy with the hearts of innocent young boys a family thing or what? Oh, I'd hardly say young. It's been about 5 years by now, you know. Speaking of which, I think I'm starting to get a craving for some chocolate. Maybe I should pick up some on the way to the station. Quincy Bell, of course, for obvious reasons. Oh, their new mint chocolate's my current favorite. The fresh aftertaste mixes in with the chocolate's flavor really well. I'll admit, that does sound tempting, but I think I'm more in the mood for the classic milk this time. That flavor will always be a fun little trip down memory lane for me. Because of how we met? Kevin, you're disgusting. Why? I think we all get that warm and fuzzy feeling when we look back on it. After all, the day you came to live with us, Kevin, was the start of many, many new and wonderful memories. I treasure every single one I've made during these 5 years. They're all priceless to me. Then why did you decide to become a squire and leave us? It just doesn't seem like the right job for you. Even if you wanted to be in the church, couldn't you have become a sister at the chapel in town or something? I'm sorry, Kevin. Apparently I've just got the aptitude for it, or so I've been told. I feel like the best thing I can do is make use of that and try to help people in the best way I can. Of course, there's always the chance I won't be cut out for it at all, and we'll have to come home anyway. There's no way a girl as naive as you is going to be any good with the kind of crazy tough stuff you'd have to do. You better come straight back home once you've had enough. Really? Well, if it does come to that, I'll be expecting a nice warm welcome from the two of you. And with that, I believe this conversation has done a lovely job with helping you procrastinate cleaning for long enough. Should I lend a hand? If we're going to do the job, you might as well do it perfectly and have the whole chapel sparkling. Chapter 3, Golden Road, Silver Road. Two lights? I wonder if the other one could be... Yeah, it's Sieg! Oh, and Chloe too. Scree? What just happened? Julia? Did you not leave for a training exercise on board the Arcel? I'm so relieved to see you safe, Your Highness. I see Sieg is with you too. Scree? He is, but, I'm not quite sure what's going on. What? Long time no see. Hi, Chloe. I sure wasn't expecting to run into you here. Well, what are all of you doing here? Oh. It's good to see you again, Chloe. And Sieg too, of course. You two look well. Thank you. I'm not sure what to say. I feel like I should be waking up any moment now, but I'm not sure I even want to. Scree! I see. We found ourselves in quite the predicament, haven't we? I'm relieved to hear that the empty grand cell you found wasn't the real city, at least, but still. Unfortunately, that doesn't necessarily rule out the real capital being in danger. We're dealing with something that has such great power, it can create a flawless replica of a vast city. There's no telling how far its influence could extend. Ries, surely there is no need to worry her so. We have nothing to gain from shying away from the truth. If anything, she's helping me better understand the gravity of the situation we're in. I'd like to help with the investigation if I can. I'm not sure I can do much more than what you're already doing, but I won't drag you down. Scree! But, Your Highness... I'm sorry, Julia, but I'm afraid nothing you can say will change my mind. I may not fully understand the situation we're in, but I know that it threatens the safety of our capital, perhaps the whole nation. I'd be a disgrace as a crown princess, if I were to just stand by and do nothing while the people I will one day rule over are threatened. Wow, you're amazing, Chloe. As you wish, Your Highness. Well, welcome to the team. Great, I'll do what I can. So, is our next destination that teleportation circle at the end of the sealed area? Yeah, that should let us travel to the next area. Or, by the sounds of it, to the next plane. Yeah, that appears to be the technical name for the various areas that make up the land we're in. It's a concept used in the Septian Church too. Our world is made up of a number of planes or realms situated on top of one another. At the top is the sky where the goddess dwells. Below that is the earth where we live, and at the bottom lies Gehenna, where sinners are judged. Those are the main three, but in between them, there are countless other planes or realms too. So in other words, the further down we descend, the less the blessing of the goddess will be able to reach us. Hey, can you not say stuff like that? With all the creepy monsters roaming around, it's freaky enough around here as it is. You sound like a child who's afraid to walk around the house when the lights are off. Although, I suppose that does make sense, given that you truly are a child. Whoa, roasted! I am so not a child! Anyway? If that fake Grand Cell was the second plane, the next one's the third plane, right? I mean, it sounds obvious, but I'm not sure it's all going in one clear direction, or if we might run into a fork at some point. I think straightforward is a safe enough assumption to make for now. And while we might not know what that Lord of Phantasma wants with us, we know it's nothing good. So even if it's not like that, that doesn't change how ugly this could get, so let's get ready for just about anything. Who knows what's waiting for us up ahead? Something wrong, Ries? If you think you might have figured something out, the rest of the class would love to hear about it. No, it's nothing important. You're right. We should start getting ready to leave. It may be worth our while to investigate some of the doors we've encountered thus far too. Yeah, I don't know what's up with those things, but there sure are a ton of them. At the very least, they don't seem to have been placed by any of our foes. I'm all in favor of investigating them too. Alright, so let's put on Chloe. And let's go with Joshua. Oh boy. Equipment. Fit up Chloe just a little bit. Now let's find our party members. Party's getting a little big now. In theory, that should make it easier to find some people too. Oh, how nice that they all just gathered here. Considering we're always traveling using warps in the cube, it's hard to be sure. But it does feel like every time we arrive at a new plane, we're moving further and further downward. It makes me wonder what's at the bottom of Phantasma. I'm simply glad that Her Highness is safe and well. Still, there seemed to be every chance that plenty of others have been captured in the same way. We should hurry on and aid them. It's clear the Lord of Phantasma is not a foe to be underestimated. Unfortunately, we just don't have enough information to try and work out who they really are. If only we had more clues to go on. Maybe it's just me, but it's kinda sorta maybe a bad idea to lock the next Queen of Liberl in one of those sealing stones, right? The Lord of Phantasma should get the death penalty when we catch him. We seem to be getting more familiar over time with the rules for this place. Not that we have any real clue just what this place is, or what the Lord of Phantasma is trying to do here. I'm still shocked that the Grand Cell we explored was a replica of the real thing given its scale. But one thing is certain now. That Lord of Phantasma we encountered is the one responsible for all of this, I'm sure of it. I'm curious as to who that ghost that appeared in Grand Cell Castle is too. And sadly, we're left with no more clues towards solving that mystery than we do any other. Now, I'm not in much of a position to be judging people here, but the Lord of Phantasma should get the— oh, god damn it. Say something interesting for your second line. So let's go into Switch. So this accounts for, yeah, all 4 of my reserve members are here. So hopefully Chloe and Joshua will just sit down at this exact table at the 2 empty seats. Do they? Yeah, how convenient. I had just finished writing in my diary before settling down to sleep when I took a glance out the window. When I did, I saw a bright light, and next, all I could see was white. Oh, right. You can see that port from your window in the castle, can't you? Yes. So judging by all I've heard, it sounds as though the first light I saw was the cube activating, and then I was drawn in here with everyone else. If only I had known what was going to happen, perhaps I could have been able to do something after seeing the first light. That's, well, let's look at the positives. We're never going to run out of food or water or anything while we're here, right? I'll pitch in with the cooking too, so don't worry so much, okay? In that case, perhaps we could cook together later. I'm not a bad chef, if I do say so myself. Besides, I think it'd be easier to calm down if I could take my mind off things. Oh, sure thing. You know what? Yeah, I'd totally be up for that. Somehow they get along, but frickin' Josette can't get along with Estelle. Probably. She was right next to me when I was drawn in here, so I'd say the odds of her being here too are pretty high. No second line for... Oh, I get it. They're having a conversation. I see. So you think that Estelle might have... Okay, so it's her, and then it's Joshua. Figure that out for yourself. Piece it together. I actually don't think it matters who I put on my party at this moment. Because something's going to happen when we try to explore outside of, into the next realm. Actually, let's just use the fast travel. Actually, let's not. We're in a new chapter. Oh, I need to change my, I haven't done it in a while. Let's go with, let's see, speed down, ATS down. That increases your Sepith. Let's go with this one. Julia again. Julia's pretty good. Yeah, we need to check to see if there are new things here in the Hermit's Garden, like new books, just to unlock them, secure that they stay here. I think that's what it does anyway. It should be shining if something new is added. Doesn't look like it. Carnelia's still here. That's cool. But nothing else, it looks like. Unless there's something over at the other end. Oh, speaking of which, one of the star doors we're about to do might have my special issue of the Liberl News. I need to look up how I'm supposed to get that. If I'm supposed to get it within the memory itself, or if it unlocks here in the Hermit's Garden afterwards. I'm not quite sure. Oh, what do we got here? Several issues of the Liberl News on the bookshelf. So early 1202 to mid 1202. So these are the first chapter issues. Cool. So we got that now. We've got the entire set of first chapter Liberl News. So you could come in here and read them if you ever needed to. They're also online. The Kiseki Wiki should have English copies of every newspaper from the localizations. They've also been very good about adding the Japanese text as well. Oh, there's something I forgot to do. Let's go drink out of the pond. Let's go, like, take Chloe over there like she's a horse. Bring her to water. You can bring a Chloe to water, but you can't make her drink. But thankfully she does drink. Alright, so... Whoops. Again, I'm fucking this up. Here we go. So we want to go second plane. Sealed area bottom. Oh, I wanted to mention that right here, this wall, this is the door that the final boss came out of in first chapter. So there are a couple interesting things about that boss. Now, I think I did it in my original playthrough of first chapter, but I definitely did it in the replay as well. I kind of played it down because the first chapter end boss, the Reverie, the Ring Guardian, is kind of a weird final boss, like all things considered for this series. I mean, obviously we've only seen 2 so far. And Angel Weissman was a big step up from that. Among a lot of final bosses in this franchise, of like all the ones I know, that's like one of the most underwhelming, if not the top one. There's like one other where it's like, eh. But that one's kind of like, what? You're fighting a big archaism at the end of it, and it's supposed to be kind of surprising because archaisms are, you know, like a brand new revelation at the very end of first chapter. But, I believe if you read the data crystals, that might have been like the machine that was created by the Ariel itself in terms of the thing that was trying to break in and stop Celeste Osleis and her team and what they were doing down here. Because it's not here anymore yet because the teleport took its place, but damn it, I didn't want to walk through this thing. Well, this should take us to the third plane. Funny how this warp ended up being in the exact spot that device to seal the Ariel was in the real world. That's what I was saying. Device? Are you referring to the first barrier mentioned in that report? Yeah, the one designed to temporarily freeze it in another dimensional space. Although unfortunately for the guys who pulled it off, it looks like even that wasn't enough to stop the Gospels being able to influence it. I see. We still don't know what happened to the Ariel either. There seem to be many who think that the Liberl arc collapsing means that the Ariel itself is no more too, which is possible, I suppose. All we really know is that, judging by how shaken Weissman was, something unexpected happened. Beyond that, nothing. I fear Professor Weissman may be the only one who knows the truth about exactly what happened. Although I don't have the faintest idea where he could be now, or what he's doing there. What? But the report said quite clearly. No one in the church is sure what happened to him either. It's still being looked into. What a fucking liar! Still, I think it's fairly safe to say that Weissman isn't involved in what's happening right here. That's my own flavor on that. If he were, I'm sure he'd be openly reveling in every second of this. You all know what kind of guy he is. That's true. He doesn't really have anything to gain by wearing a mask like that, I suppose. That look, she's like, what the fuck is wrong with you, Kevin? We've got way too many unanswered questions at this point. All we can do is keep looking for answers. The less we know, the more we have to be on guard though, so we'd best be careful. Right, Ries? I suppose so. Oh man, she's so mad at him. She's like, God, you're such a liar. Okay, where was I? I'm glad we got that though, because that really ties in with what I was, you know, throwing down about Kevin early on in this video after the whole salt pill thing. How much of a fucking liar he is. So yeah, in the data crystals, you can interpret the thing that was like trying to bust through and beat up Celeste and her team as the Ring Guardian itself. But it kind of like begs the question of like, how did it get behind this door then? Did they like shove it in there? And then when Richard removed the first barrier on the Ariel, and the Ariel was able to sort of like exert its influence again, it woke up and like went back to doing what it was doing beforehand, you know, like kill whoever's in this room, and that's why it went after our team. I don't know. It's one of those where it's like not fully explained as well as I would like it to be. That's how I interpret it anyway. Because I think it's weird to think that like Celeste's team, that like they built that thing and they stuffed it in here, especially because like theoretically after they successfully placed the seal on the Ariel, that like they kind of abandoned orbital technology. I mean, they built this place, but like after, as we know, like after the Great Collapse, like Dark Ages, there was no orbital technology again until the Orbital Revolution. So I don't know. There's one last thing I wanted to throw in there. Screw it, I forgot it. When we pick up next time, we will... Oh, right, I know what it is. And it's that I don't actually want to go in here. When we pick up next time, we're not going to be doing what's past that teleport. We're going to be going back upstairs to Star Door 3, that is. That requires Joshua and Chloe. So we'll check out that Star Door when we pick up next time. See you guys then.